The Budokai Tenkaichi... Wait, no. There we go. The Budokai games are some of the earliest Dragon Ball games to come out, and many people still consider these some of the best Dragon Ball Z games they've ever played. These games are considered absolute classics. So for someone who considers themselves a big Dragon Ball fan like myself, having never played them, it's kind of embarrassing. But now that's gonna change, because we're gonna take a look back at the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games and just see if they're really as good as everyone says they were. And of course we're starting off with the original Dragon Ball Z Budokai. And right off the bat, the thing that really intrigued me was how they try to recreate the original Dragon Ball Z anime opening. And of course it does look kinda outdated, because you know, PS2 graphics. And I didn't grow up watching Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, so I don't know if it's bad, but this is actually the first time that I heard Rock the Dragon in its entirety, and it kinda bangs. So you know, of course, since this is the first game in the series, it's kind of janky. We have, you know, really simple ass combos. We have grabs, and while the special moves don't look anything too crazy yet, they do look pretty cool. And the game is a traditional 3D fighter, so you can sidestep. So yeah, the gameplay is pretty bare bones, but you could see that the skeleton is there for what the games could eventually evolve into, for, you know, once they pack some meat on those bones. But now let's go over the story mode. And what do you know? It goes over the same story of Dragon Ball Z again. Okay, but no, seriously, I think I'm gonna give this game a pass because it is one of the first Dragon Ball Z games to come out, so you can't really say that it recycled the same story. And to be honest, this game's story mode actually kind of surprised me. I really was not expecting this game's cutscenes to be this well detailed, you know, outdated graphics aside. And aside from the normal, you know, fighting, this story mode incorporates little mini games into the events of the story, and it's really cool. It kind of blew my mind, to be honest. And of course the game has the World Tournament mode, which is the World Tournament. I think we all know how it works by now. There's also this really weird game mode called The Legend of Hercule, which is basically like a big what-if story that takes place during the Cell games. And you basically play as Hercule, and you take on all of the Z fighters, and then if you beat all of them, you fight Cell at the end. The entire game mode is basically Mr. Satan's fanfiction of himself, and it's so fucking random and goofy that I love it. One really cool thing about these games is the capsule system. The capsules basically allow you to customize your moveset and choose which special moves or transformations you want to use for each character. And some of these capsules have Z items that you can use during fights, which come in really handy. So yeah, overall the game is pretty bare bones, but it's still pretty fun, and it has some stuff that still makes it stand out. And of course it lays down the foundation for what the future games will achieve with Budokai 2, the next installment in the Budokai series, and this is kind of a weird one. What the fuck? So of course this game does the due diligence of, you know, improving the combat system from the last game. The combos are a lot more fleshed out. The actual flow of the gameplay has improved significantly, and overall the gameplay just a lot more polished and well refined. There's also this new game mode called Bobby's Spaceship, where you fight with different conditions.
How the fuck did he not die?
And a lot of the conditions really aren't that fun, but they're there. But easily the most unique part of this game is the story mode.
What the scallop?
And although it does go through the same story of Dragon Ball Z again, it has a pretty big twist to it. Like, I don't remember Goten being born during the Frieza arc, and I also don't remember Frieza coming to fucking Siberia. Yeah, you can probably tell that this is a very warped retelling of the Z story. A lot of the stuff did not go down the way that this game presents it as, but I really like it. It's a lot more fun than just retelling the same Z story exactly how it is every time. And this also makes for some really cool ass what if scenarios, like this.
What the scallop?
What is that?
Yeah, there's some pretty wacky shenanigans in this, and those aren't the only wacky fusions this game has. Yes sir, Gokule is fucking real in this game. They actually made Gokule a real playable character. This is the goofiest shit ever, and I fucking love it. They really took a gag character that never even appeared and made him a fucking playable character. That's so cool. But it's not just him though. Tianxia. This guy has literally never appeared in the series at all, and he's cool as fuck. I really love these what if fusions, and I really think that they're what make this game stand out, despite being like the middle child of the series, and they only appear in this game, so we gotta give Budokai 2 its credit. Budokai 3. I know that this game isn't a lot of people's top 5 Dragon Ball games to this day, and before playing it I really thought that this was because it's just pure nostalgia.
What?
But nope, I was wrong. This game is an absolute fucking masterpiece. And of course, being the final entry in the series, this game pretty much perfected the combat. Everything is as polished as it could possibly be. You know, there's vanishing attacks, there's clashes, there's beam struggles, pretty much every transformation up to this point in the series. However, this game also adds in the hyper mode mechanic, which basically allows you to use the Dragon Rush. And Dragon Rush in this game is pretty much just like a game of rock, paper, scissors. There's 3 rounds and you win or lose depending on which button you and the opponent press. And if you win all 3 rounds, you end the sequence with a cool ass finisher. And it makes this a really cool addition to the game. And Hyper Mode also allows you to use your ultimate attack. And depending on who wins a little quick time event determines how much damage you do. Or the opponent could just downright dodge the attack. Or stuff like this could happen. So yeah, Budokai 3's gameplay is definitely the best in the series. It perfects pretty much everything that the previous games did, while also adding some really fun new mechanics. Now this game's story mode is also kinda cool, because although it does go through the same story of Dragon Ball Z, the story mode changes depending on what character you're playing as, and you pretty much go through Dragon Ball Z through the perspective of that character. And depending on who you're using, stuff can get pretty wild. Like if you're playing as Broly, you can straight up go to Goku's house and blow it the fuck up with Chi-Chi there. And you pretty much just go through squad wiping the Z fighters. It's pretty cool. There's also the new mode Dragon Arena, where you pretty much fight opponents at different levels to unlock rare items. Pretty straightforward.
Stop!
Oh, and I almost forgot. I guess I should mention the whole plagiarism thing with this game's music. So apparently the composer for this game, Kenji Yamamoto, plagiarized a lot of the songs in this game's soundtrack. And yeah, it becomes pretty obvious. But hey, if anything, at least it shows that he had a pretty fire playlist. But regardless of all that, I can definitely see why this game is considered a classic. It is a masterpiece. So now we've gone through every Budokai game. But are they as good as people say they are? Yeah. Yeah, they are. These games are really fucking good. Like, they really surprised me. You know, these games came before the Tenkaichi series, my personal favorite Dragon Ball games. Actually, I think these games have a lot of similarities with the Tenkaichi games. These games all have the same, that spectacle, that signature Dragon Ball spectacle. You know, just that intense feeling when you're mashing your controller to best your opponent.
Okay, Planet, give me that stupid energy.
Just that intense, chaotic Dragon Ball fun is in these games, like the what if fusions in Budokai 2. Those are just so charmingly goofy that it makes the games so special. They add a whole entire another layer of just passion that you can see that was put into these games. Oh, and I forgot to mention, in Budokai 1 there's this one what if scenario where Cell absorbs Krillin and he fucking loses power. It's fucking funny as hell. And the gameplay of Budokai 3 has aged surprisingly well. The games don't really feel outdated. They still feel like you can boot them up and still have a blast on them. And I feel like that's what makes these games so good.
Be